Hello, my name is Giovanni Davis, and I am a student in the Project Next Generation program at the Kankakee Public Library. Today is October 12, 2017, and I am at the Manteno Veteran Home in Manteno, Illinois, interviewing U.S. military veteran Bruce Mettlock. With us are Roland Johnson and Mary Bass. Mr. Bradlock, Mr. Mettlock, when and where were you born?
I was born in Kankakee, Illinois, born August 1952.
What are your parents' names and what were their occupations?
My dad's name was Vernon Mettlock, and he was a truck driver. My mom's name was Arvella Mettlock, and she was a stewardess, and she worked in a restaurant. She was a waitress.
Bruce, how did your parents feel about you going into the service?
My dad was he was in service. He was over in Korea, and he was a truck driver. So he was for me to go in the army, So I followed his footprints a little bit.
Okay.
So I went in the army, and as soon as I got out of high school, October 28, 1970, I went to Fort Lewis, Washington for basic.
Do you have any brothers and sisters, and did any of them serve in the military?
No, I got 3 sisters, and I'm the only boy. I had one sister die at birth. Then I got another sister. She died a few years ago, and I still got one sister left. And my both parents are both gone. They both died.
What were you doing with your life before you entered the service?
I worked in a factory. Plus, I was a farmer. I helped farm different farmers. They raised cattle and did a lot of harvesting. Stuff like that. So then I feel like I needed to go into service.
Were you working in one of the factories in Kankakee at the time?
No, I worked in Moni. Yeah.
Oh,
I was only there a short while. Then I went over to service.
In which branch of the service did you serve, and why?
I served in the United States Army. That's what I wanted to do, So I didn't feel like going to the Marines or Air Force or Navy or Coast Guard or National Guard. So I just went in the Army.
At that time, was it like it is now that you have to take a test or anything to get into the Army?
Well, you had to take some kind of test. They asked you questions. You had a little bit of multiplications, and stuff like that. But it's all different now. People going in now, but I had to take a physical and all that. Then I was inducted. Out of Chicago, and then from there I went to. They sent me to my station where I was stationed at for basic.
Okay.
Did you enlist or were you drafted into the service?
And I enlisted.
Would you tell me about your training camp and your training camp experience?
I was sent to Fort Lewis, Washington. It was October 28th. It was cold over there during the winter. We did PT. We filed on the range, weapon qualification. We had our two-week bivouac out in the field. Like you should do. And we did all our marching, and we had tests. And all kinds of stuff they do today.
can you explain a little bit more about the 2-week bivouac?
Pardon me?
What is the 2-week bivouac? What's that like?
That's when you go out in the field, and they give you a half a tent. Okay, everybody gets a half a tent when they go to basic, and you got to get people that's got 2 buttons or they got snaps. So you got to find somebody who's got the snaps and buttons. Because I had a snap, and I found another guy had a snap. We shared the tents together. We put them up. We put our camouflage around it, a mosquito net over the top of it. We put our sleeping bags inside. Then we did a little bit of camouflage. Every day the weather changed over there, so you had to get changed with the weather, Change the leaves and that stuff around, so at nighttime the enemy won't know where you're at, So that's how it was. And we did we did a little bit of weapon qualification, we did a little bit of, we did some marching out there, we did night scoping, and stuff like that. We eat, with our canteens and all that stuff, so it was interesting.
What type of weapon did you qualify on?
M16,
Okay.
that's the only one I used in the military. That's when they used today, I think, but I think they got a different kind of weapon in the Army today, I can't say, for sure. But I qualified at M16.
Okay.
Do you recall your instructors?
His name was, in basic, his name was Williams. He was a sergeant, he was a first sergeant. He's a drill sergeant, his name was Williams. But that's the only ones we had in basic. There was 3 Williamses we had in basic. They all had, the last name was Williams. And that's the only ones I knew was Williams,
What are some memories that you have of that experience?
Pardon me?
What are some memories that you have of that experience?
I don't understand that.
What are the memories you have of being in the service?
Well, I enjoyed when I was sent overseas to Germany, and when I sent over for the war. It was different. Because it's a different, different place to go when you sent over there. It's different place to live at. So it was nice. It's different.
How did you adapt to military life? Like the exercise and the food?
Well, after a while you got used to it because it was all different. You got up in the morning, you make your bed, and you had to make sure you had all your stuff dressed for the drill sergeant comes in. Your shoes had to be polished, your socks had to be rolled the length to what they should be. The socks, underwear, t-shirts all had to be a different size rolled up into a Foot Locker so they could be inspected. Then we go over and get ready for breakfast. Then after that we did our PT. Then it depends if we had classes to go to or had to go to the range or whatever we had going on that day. There was always something going on. But then on weekends, sometimes they give us off, and that's the day you write letters home to your folks, or call home or whatever you want to do, and stuff like that.
What kind of consequences were there if you did meet inspection? Did you ever have any problem with that?
No, I just had to make sure, everything was just right dressed, in the military because, your shoes had to be polished, you didn't see your face in them or nothing like that, it just had to be black polish on them. You had to make sure your uniforms were pressed, clean. And you just had to make sure you got your rank on it right, and the patches on right if you had any. It took a while to get stuff like that over in the Army. Everybody goes in the service, they're all privates, and they don't get ranked for 6 months. Then they come E2. But then they got people sew them on for you, and just had to make sure your uniform was clean, your shoes are polished, you got your stuff together when you go outside, and you had your hat on. Make sure you salute the officers, when they come down. So that was the deal,
Did you receive any specialized training? If so, what was it?
Pardon me?
Did you receive any specialized training? If so, what was it?
Well, when I went overseas, we had to adapt to we know we were going to the different climate over there. We had to get adjusted to. We had to qualify our M16 again. We had to get fitted for a gas mask, for the case of a war. We had to get a suit on in case of a nuclear war over there, in case we got gas or something for the war. And stuff like that, but, we got all adapted to it, adapted to it, so we were good to go, you know. And we got different clothes for over there, you know, we had different clothes to give us over there, different outfits to wear. For the climate over there, we had camouflage and desert, you know, and stuff like that. So that's how we got adapted to it.
How long did it take you to get acclimated to the weather?
Well, it did. The F-16 was just we had that in basic. That's what we fired when we went over to war. Same thing, the F-16, you know. So we were adapted to it right away.
Okay. The weather, was it hot over there? How hot did the temperature get?
Well, in the daytime, by 8 o'clock in the morning, that's the day we do our laundry. In the morning, we get a bucket of hot water. Then we get another bucket. We use for soap and that stuff. We use our uniform and rinse it out. We hang it on a fence out there when we're in Ajan or a rope or where you use for clothesline out there. Whatever you can do, hang it up. It only took like an hour to dry because by 8 o'clock in the morning it was 140 degrees, but it was a dry heat. You couldn't get no sunburn, you know, unless you still, you know, and if you're an idiot, lay out there all day, but you weren't, because they won't allow that in the military, you know, or you get court-martialed. So, but it was they dry so fast, you know. But it was so we just hung them out and let them dry all day, you know. But that's what we did.
You mentioned also about gas masks. Were you ever under attack where you had to utilize your gas mask? And what type of gas were you concerned about?
Well, they use I ain't sure what kind of gas they use. They use some kind of a gas gun basic, you know. It's just kind of similar to just smoke, you know. You got to breathe it, you know, and you got to get your gas. Make sure you got a good seal in your gas mask, because if you don't, you'll be breathing, you'll be choking, you know. So they get that just. You got to make sure it's nice and tight, and all your seals are set right when you clean it back together. So it was just some kind of nuclear that whatever Saddam was using over there, I can't say, you know. But we used our gas masks sometimes, but we never got zapped, you know, with it.
Gotcha.
You know. But we were in the war, but we were just like in the back, you know. But we were ready to go, you know. Our unit, when we went over there, our unit was in charge of the fuel for the war. Our unit was 387 quartermaster, and they were in charge of the fuel. And they had six truck companies below them. They had 4 bag farms and 2 trucking companies. And the bag farms would set their bags up, and the Iraqis would bring the fuel to us when we were in Saudi Arabia, where we were stationed at. And our unit going to the war because they couldn't go because of religion reasons, you know. But we had big bag farms. We had 50,000 gallons, 100,000 gallons. We had Jet A, diesel, low gas, regular gas, all kinds of fuel they needed for the war. So we always had fuel on hand, and every day they brought fuel to us, you know, and from the port, from the ships and that, you know, and they bring it to us, and we put in our bag, you know, farm that we had out there, you know, our units out there, stationed out there.
Okay.
Where did you serve?
Pardon me?
Where did you serve?
I went to, first I was sent to Fort Lewis, Washington for basic. Then from there when I got out of the basic, I was sent to Fort Gordon, Georgia for school. From there I went to Fort Carson, Colorado. I served there for 13 months. From there I went to Fort Dix, New Jersey for overseas. But when I got to Fort Dix, they didn't want to send me over. So I went back to Fort Carson, Colorado, getting the ETS out of the Army. That was my active life. When I was in reserve, I was sent to Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. I was in Fort Ben Harris. I was in Missouri. I went to Fort Leonard, Missouri for a couple of weeks because we had training down there. We went to Fort Riley, Kansas for a couple weeks, we had training, they sent us out there for reserve to go out there to build stuff. Then from there we went to, I said to Indiana, I can't think of the name of the, we were sent 2 bases to Indiana, but I can't think of what they were right now. But I said to Fort Bend Harris, that's when I was sent overseas. But then I said, where else was I said? That's about it, I think, for now. I think that's all I can remember where I've been, you know, I've been all over, you know.
How long were you in the reserves?
I was in reserve for 20 years, and I had 3 years active Army. So I had 23 years active total.
Did you, when you enlisted, did you plan on staying in for that long?
Well, when I went in reserve, it was only 2 weeks a year you go to summer camp, and once a month you go to a meeting. Because then I could always work when I was working in my other factories. And I was working in factories when I was in reserve. So that was ideal, you know. Double pay, you know. So I just stayed in reserve all them years, and then when I first was in active Army, I stayed there for 2.5 years. But then I had time in reserve when I was active Army, when I went over to Saudi Arabia, and that counted active duty, so that combined to 3 years total then. The 6 months I was over there.
Can you share a little further with some of your memories of your time in Saudi Arabia?
Well, when I was over there, we were sent to Ajjan. That's where we first landed. I think that's an Air Force base out there, I think. Mm-hmm. And we landed there, and we stayed there for like a couple weeks. It was right by an airport, because where we were stationed, we were underneath a viaduct, and it was like a sewer plant out there. You know, they had a little compound out there with a little hotel. We stayed there for our first move was. Then our unit got mobilized to go towards the war with the unit to get set up for the war. But some of us stayed behind. And some of us went with them, you know, because they had the main outfit. They knew their jobs, went towards the war. Because I was a fill-in when I went over the war, because they just needed my MOS to fill in, you know. But so later I made my jump towards the war, and my job was, when I got there, was to set up the bivouac area, make sure everything was set right up there. I made sure they got the latrines set, because they were already set, but I had to make sure they put them in the right spot. We had to do a little different work to the latrines. We had to put seats in there for them, you know, and doors like that. We had them out on, because that's what we did over there. I was like an engineer, and I helped do stuff like that when I was over there, build stuff. And that's what we did mostly over there, is keep building over there, you know. And I ran mail for the war when I was over there, from the front to the back, you know. And different things like that, you know, so.
The bivouac situation that the soldiers lived in, was it tents or barracks over there?
Out there they were like GP mediums. They had like 4 people to a tent. Okay, then and the first sergeant had a tent. That's who I stayed with, the first sergeant, because I was close to his rank, you know. Mm-hmm. So we were 2-man tents. And the women had a tent for themselves, the soldiers did, and they had a GPURs, because there was we had 8 women with our unit. So they had a tent by themselves. Then they had other GP mediums out there for the other soldiers to live in, you know. So, but everybody had 2 or 3 men to a tent, or 4, something like that. But they had room to move around, and they weren't crowded or nothing like that, you know. So it was flexible, and we had K-rations to eat out there, you know. We had cooks that cooked it for us. So the food was good, you know, that I think of, you know, at the time. But, so that's how it was.
Not being on the front line, did you experience seeing any of the soldiers or have any interaction with any of the soldiers that returned from the front line? And can you share any of their stories that they brought back with them?
Only thing they said when I only talked to a few, they said it was, they got attacked one day from Iraqis, and they said when they were in their Humvee,
Mhm.
and they felt like when they were shooting them, it sounded like BBs hitting them because their weapons weren't powerful as ours was, That's what it sounded like. It sounded like just bing, 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 like that. But they said it was interesting, but nobody got hurt during the war that I know of. So that's how it was over there. They said, it was just interesting over there,
I have a question about the women that you served with. What kind of jobs did they do over there?
There was officers were officers, they had their own jobs to do, they did their own thing, They did the reports, all that stuff on the soldiers. Then the privates they did, some of them had they had KP over there, Some did they did everything that we did just about, we had duties for building stuff, they were over there helping us build. They just did their job. Some were in the office, did secretary work, I can't, But some drove trucks, there was truck drivers over there, women. Some of the men were truck drivers also. So they all did equal what we did, so that's what they did, I can't say,
What kinds of friendships did you form while in the service?
Pardon me?
What kind of friendships did you form while in the service?
The friends, I try to be along with everybody with a unit there, I was along with everybody, but when I came back from Fort Ben Harris, everybody from the 387 Quartermaster went on their own way, So I went back to my unit back in Joliet. Then after that, everybody was on their went on their own ways. I never connected with hardly nobody after the war, that I know of, Except for a couple guys when I was reserved, I see them all the time, because you live right in the same town I do in Bourbon, sir, in Manteno. But I ain't seen nobody from the war since I've been out, So they all went their different ways, They got their own families, so that's how it was,
How did you stay in touch with family and friends back home?
Well, when we were stationed over there, what they did, they put a big tent up, a big GP large, like a tent they used for like a circus, and they put phones in there. They had poles in there, and they put 4 phones to a pole. They had the tent was like big as this room here, I guess, and they had poles. They had like 25 poles in there, and they put phones on them, and they let people use them. It didn't cost nothing during the war, before the war, Call home, say everything's fine, Then after the war, they had another tent set up, you could call. But after that, they put a time limit on it, you can only talk like a half hour, because there's so many soldiers there, want to call home. But when we went to the cities and the towns up towards the war, up there in Saudi Arabia, towards Iraq, there was this one town, I can't think of what it was, but we went through it, do some shopping, But every hour, we had to get out of the stores because they did their prayers, so we had to let them do it, but they do, they pray every hour. So we had to get out of the stores, sit on the curves, or walk around the town. So that's what we let them do. Then you go back to the stores, but there are some stores, the people that use their phones for some money, like $5 for 15 minutes or so to talk. But we know they were listening on the phone, so you have to be careful when you sit on the phone. You don't say where you're stationed at, things like that, They knew we were Saudi Arabia, but you don't want to pinpoint where you were stationed at because they hear that, they give, they could send up some bomber over there, or whatever they gotta do. But they're friendly over there, we get along with the people over there in the stores, let them, give them money. They're friendly to talk to, So, but that's how it was over there, everybody was trying to get along with everybody during the war, do their jobs, Everybody got along real well, I think.
What did you do when you were off duty?
Oh, when I got duty, sometimes I'd write letters to my folks, or I'd go to the city and call. Or I just watch TV, because they had a day room there, we watched TV there, but what they did, they had like a tent there. They got movies from home, and they showed different movies every night, so people go in there and watch the movie, Won't cost you nothing, they had popcorn, they set it back there. The cook made popcorn for us, and they had pop over there, so we can drink pop, but we just relax, whatever you want to do, go to town if you had permission to, or if you had duty. But if you're off, you just relax and do what you want to do, like you do, and go do what people do these days, hang out,
Where were you when the war ended?
Pardon me?
Where were you when the war ended?
Where was I at?
Yes.
I was when the war was done, I was at Fort Ben Harris in Minneapolis. That was in '92. I got out. Then I went back to my unit in Joliet. I was sent back there to get an ETS because our unit was closing the doors at that time. So I got out there in '92. So that's what it was. Then I went back to my civilian life in Kankakee, Illinois.
When you returned home, how were you received by your family and the community?
Oh, real welcome. They were grateful that what we did. They had prayed for me when I was home. And they were grateful what I did over there. And they were just everybody was just they just did a lot of things for me when I was home. They give me meals and stuff. And so it was real nice.
How did you adjust to civilian life when you came home?
Well, it did take me a while because I was already working before I left the war, so I just had to go back to work, So I relaxed real good before I went back, but it did take me a little while to go back. But when I went back to the factories, they were grateful what I did, like I said. When I got back to the towns, and they just let me relax, go slowly back to work. What I did at the time, I didn't have to push nothing, just go steadily back to work, until I got adapted back where I was ready to go on, with my life, So it was okay.
You said that you sustained an injury when you were over there?
Yeah, I had a foot injury in my, I think it was my right foot. It got burnt when I was over there in a pit. It was a garbage pit I was in. And I just went in there and get something out there, an object. I don't remember what it was at this time, but I stepped in with my boots on, and the water was so hot in there, I must have stepped in a bucket of hot water, and it just buckled my feet, my shoe, So it just burnt my foot a little bit, so that's why I was sent back to Germany to get healed, I was sent back to Landskog, Germany to get healed my foot. But when that got healed, then they sent me back to Fort Ben Harris to get out of the Army then, So.
Have you remained in contact or reunited with any of the soldiers that you were in the service with?
Like I was telling him earlier, this gentleman here, only ones I relate to is the ones I was in reserve. And I'm related to our Sergeant Major Weiss. He was out of Danville because he was he was our, he was one of our majors, and he came down to our A63 all the time, and I tried to adapt to him a lot, you know, because he was out of Danville. And he's the one I used to go over and Saudi Arabia with, because I used to go to town and get cigars. And he always smoked cigars, so I get cigars for him and me, and we smoke, you know. But that's our deal, you know, because he liked that. I cigars, I get cigars. We went to one town and get cigars and tell people what we wanted, you know. They had to get adapt to it, because they didn't know what cigars was until we got over there, you know. They might have knew it, but I can't say they did or not. So I explained to them what I wanted, and then they got them for me, and I went over there every day and got cigars, you know, and give money, you know, and they like American money, you know, because they can do more with that than we can, you know, and adapt it to it, you know, exchange it for their money for our money, you know. So, that's what it was. But I just adapted with my sergeant major and some of my sergeants that I was in reserve with. But they're, like I said, there's only a few left right now. Everybody's went on their merry way, you know, or gone, or married, or moved on, you know. So I stay attached with a few of my friends, you know, but that's it right now, you know. There's only a couple left, you know.
I see.
Everybody else is gone, and that I knew of, you know.
Were you ever a part of any veterans organizations? Like the VFW or anything like that there?
I joined the VFW when I got out. I joined that in I think in 2004 or something like that. I think I joined the VFW in Manteno, Kankakee, whatever it was. I've been adapted to them all. I've been with them all this time, you know. But so I've been paying my dues every month, you know, when I go, you know. So I've been with them for a while, you know, with the VFW.
Okay. And how long have you been living here at the Manteno Veterans Home?
I came here June 7th of this year.
How you like it here?
It's nice. Everybody's friendly. You know, you get more adapted, you know, you get more freedom.
Okay.
Because before that I was stationed on Route 50, River North. I was there like 6-7 weeks, and it was nice there too, you know. But I mean, I didn't have the freedom like I got here, you know. There's more places to go out here, you know.
Okay.
I mean, more to see here on the Route 50, you know.
Well, this is a beautiful facility here.
It is, it really is. And they do wonders for the soldiers. They go to different places, you know. We go to VFWs, you know, we go to, you know, like Beecher, Manteno, fish fries, stuff like that, you know. And they got one tomorrow in Manteno again, a fish fry in Manteno, but they only take certain people. They can go. Everybody can't go all the time at the same time, because there's close to 300 people out here, I think, you know, around that beach. And everybody's got a chance to go somewhere, you know.
Gotcha.
Because they take them to Kmart sometimes and go shopping, you know, or they do wonders with them, you know. There's always something going on here. They got woodworking here. You see that here. Wonders. It's real nice what they do here for the soldiers. Then down there they got a commissary. They got food there, you know. They give them soldiers, you know, candy, pop. You know, then they got a PX over there right out here. Then they got, you know, they got the dining room there. Then they got the pool hall where they can play shuffleboard or pool, watch TV. You know, it's just wonders what they got out here for the people to do, you know. Then in the summer they got they got a pond out in front, we go fishing. People can go fishing during the summer out here, the veterans can, you know. And that's nice for the veterans. Now they got that brand new pond out there they built a few years ago for the veterans.
What are some life lessons you learned from the military service?
Pardon me?
What are some life lessons you learned from the military service?
Well, I Some of them are just, get along with the people, I think the more better I am, the more people I hang around with. And the jobs I did before, so that's about all I did. I think what that is, I think that's what it meant.
How has your military service impact your feelings about war and the military in general?
Well, that's hard to say because, war is war, but it's hard to say. I'm not gonna get into this because, I'm afraid what I'm gonna say won't be right, I don't wanna say nothing about that, but war's war, so we're just stuck in it, I think, so I'm afraid to, express myself on that deal, so.
What message would you like to leave for future generations who will view this interview?
Well, just be yourself and, just adapt to the environment around you, what's going on because, there's so much to do right now for these new people coming around right now, growing up, that we had before, I mean, we probably had this stuff, but not like today, 'Cause when we've grown up, we didn't have those cell phones, stuff like what these kids got today, BDs and all that stuff. We didn't have that stuff, But the environment today, they just need to adapt to it, and they'll get on real well, I think.
Is there anything that we haven't discussed that you would like to add to this interview?
No.
In closing, I would like to thank you for this opportunity to interview you and for participating in the Veterans History Project.